So, my name is Brooke Hamby, and I decided to start a 100-day project. And 100-day projects are these amazing things that kind of get you kickstarted on doing things. Anything that you put off or imagined or supposed. And it just kind of keeps you that step in the right direction. I just got off of one where I did something every single day to start something new. And I started beginning my journey walking outside and creating backyard safaris. So I just started a new 100-day project and I'm sharing videos of people who are cultural creatives who create their own lives. And I'm ready to interview Gini. And Gini Breidenbach is an amazing person. She is a restoration program manager and she's an artist. So she combines her love of nature with her love of art and nature. So in just a minute, we're going to be talking to her and I'm going to ask her some few questions about her life and how she chose to create the life that is best for her. And cultural creatives are those people who create their own culture and live their own path. So I'm excited about this 100-day project. Every day I work on it a little bit, whether I'm trying to reach out to somebody, finding someone to talk to, recording, editing. So I'm just introducing these ideas because I am fascinated with people. I'm fascinated with their ideas and their journey. So I hope you enjoy all of these minutes. Hi, Jenny.
Hi.
Hi there. Thank you for agreeing to do my 100-day project with me. That is awesome.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome.
So I'm Brooke. We haven't met formally. And you're Jenny, is it Breidenbach? Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I kind of introduced it a little bit, but basically I'm fascinated with people who it's for myself and others who are out there who are basically working to combine career, not career, or just their best life, their calling, what's in their true nature to be who they are. And I call them cultural creatives just because I trained in anthropology and it's people who create their own culture, no matter what people tell them or who they should be.
Yeah.
And so what I noticed, so you created all this beautiful art in the 100-day project, but also you're in the environmental field too. And I see you with your Facebook post, you were in nature. And I think I wrote down that you said you have on your Facebook page, beware, I am woman, I love. And I love that. I love that so much. So if you wouldn't mind just kind of sharing a little bit about your, I guess, how you created your best life with your career and everything that you do, basically.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I am trained as an environmental engineer. That's what I went to school for. And that's at the time I was in school, what I felt kind of was my passion. And so I worked in that field of environmental engineering and consulting for a really long time. And there was something that wasn't quite right, but I just kind of kept ignoring it.
Yeah, that's all.
And,
yeah.
And then I have two children. And when my son was born, he, as an infant, had cancer. And after he was done with his treatment and he was okay, I had to come to grips with all of that and what that meant for him as a person, for me as a mother. And that experience really just left me with just this strong feeling and direct understanding that life is so precious. And not just his life, not just everybody else's life, but my life.
Right.
And so I started this kind of careful evaluation of every aspect of my life and what I was doing, what I was spending my time on. And the first thing that left was this career that I had really been struggling with and wanting to make a change, but hadn't had the courage to do that.
Yeah.
And once I did that, I started, I quit the consulting job that was really bothering me, and on a kind of on a whim, I did this. I started a market garden and was doing a CSA farm and feeding vegetables to people for a while, because it was something I'd always dreamed of.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
But and I knew I wasn't going to do it forever, but it was just kind of like I want to do something different. I want to just live a different experience. And then from that, just things started to grow. I started to realize how much better I felt when I was really doing things that I loved. And so over time, I've really prioritized that. Even I do have 2 children. They're 16 and 14, and I'm married. But I just see how much better I am as a person by like following these things that I love. So I'm working actually at a land trust. I do conservation work and habitat restoration. That's still a part of me that it is important, that I feel passionate about.
Right.
But it's just a part, because I'm also really passionate about being outside in nature. I love to camp, and I sail in the summer, and I cross country ski, and I spend a lot of time doing those things. I mean, they're really an important part of my balance.
Right. They're part of your life too. So you have,
Yeah.
and that's what I find so fascinating is that balance of having a career that fits you. It's not against your nature. And then also to have the balance of everything else that you do supports who you are as a person.
Yes. Yes. And then when those things happen, then you have so much more capacity to do things in your own life, but then to be with your family and your friends and doing what, when you're feeling so good. Because it doesn't, it just makes such a huge difference. I think about how I tried to accomplish so many things before when I really wasn't doing things that were serving me well,
Right. Yeah. And that makes so much sense. And Gini, there's so many people right now, me included, who are choosing something traumatic happened. Yours happened when your child was young. I mean, that's something that puts you in touch with who you are, to know the reordering priorities and how precious that is. And then a lot of people right now are going through that with the pandemic and things occurring all around us. They're having to be like forced into it. And so I feel like all the people I talk to that I feel like you're on the back end of this. Like you started this transition way early. And so you can be an example for other people, like those small things and big things you did along the way. Like it sounds like the first thing you did was you left a job that wasn't serving you. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, yes, that was the big thing in my life. But I also at the same time decided to homeschool my kids because so that was another big thing. I really had been feeling like they needed to be home with me because we had done so much travel and everything for my son's treatment.
Right.
And so I also took them home with me, just so that was kind of the mothering piece, but also this like career piece that I had never really fully identified with.
So It sounds like there were probably, were there decisions you had to make that were difficult, that you had to like maneuver around homeschooling, leaving a career? What were some of those things you had to do, choices you had to make?
That, of course, there were the things like, talking with my husband and getting agreement on the whole approach of what we're going to do. That was not a small
hard
task,
conversation. Right? Yeah.
But really, the homeschooling thing was a really big one because it was absolutely not the norm. And there were so many, kind of cultural things, like my friends, like wondering what's not good enough about the school that I'm sending my kids to, that you have to do this, just like so many, my family kind of questioning me, is this right for the kids? Like all of those, this choice was kind of against social norms, though of course there's so many people that homeschool, but for me it was a totally new realm.
Right.
I had been a person that was always kind of doing things by the book, following the rules. And now suddenly I'm felt a little bit like I was going wild and going rogue, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I know that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And but you know, that experience of dealing with all of that, and there's ultimately being okay with it and seeing how this was my choice and it was so good for my family and for me, you know, looking back at it, I'm so grateful that I did that, because that, you know, knowing now that the most important choice is for me or my family and what feels good for me, and that all that other stuff is just fluff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's your path. Your most important part is your family and your connection to them.
Yeah. And so I'm grateful for that experience. It was a good learning moment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such an amazing example too. And I think of it this way. You just said rogue and wild. That's exactly the way I see when we choose what our intrinsic nature is, like what we're born with as children when we're 5 years old and doing things we openly love, and we want to hug all our friends. We want to walk barefoot and be in nature. That's our wild self that never goes away, that we just get like pushed into these little boxes that culture puts on us. And so you had to make the hard choices to be wild again.
Yeah.
To what was,
and you know, now some of those things that you just described, you know, like walking barefoot in the beach, like I'm doing those things regularly. Like I go crazy. I live in northern Minnesota in the summertime. It's beautiful here and it's cold in the winter, but like I don't know how many times that I've been walking barefoot on the beach, just swimming in the water, just like playing like a kid, or on a sailboat, you know, like wind in my hair, on sun in my skin, like, oh, it's heavenly. Feels so
perfect.
Good.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's what makes life worth living. And I completely agree about you have a career in the sense that it's not just a job that you have that pays you money, a career in your whole life. It's something you're going to do for the rest of your life. You're going to honor yourself and honor your family and that connection and all of nature.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I have two more questions for you. One question I have is once I saw more about you and learned more about you, I kind of thought of these. What's the best part of now that you're not conforming or doing things that didn't feel right? What's the best part of that? What's the best? You've already said a few things, but what would you say is the best part?
You know, I would think there's two things that and really these are just feelings that I have in myself, but then it transfers out into my life. You know, I feel internally in my body, I carry this sense of peace in my body. Like there's no like conflict and tense feelings, and my chest is like wide open and ready to like be here, you know, in this day. And that feeling, after having lived without it for so long and now having it, it's like I like daily I'm thinking, gosh, oh, I love this feeling of like just feeling good in my body because I'm doing things that I love, you know.
Well, that's being like true to yourself. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's so easy to be disconnected from your body and like really not pay attention even to those signals in your body. But for me, that's a huge one. And then I have the sense of like, what's coming next? Like what's possible, you know? It's endless possibilities are out there. And when you're, you know, and like, you know, when you stop constraining yourself, it's like, wow, what could I do? You know? And wouldn't it be awesome to explore this? And wouldn't it be great to check this out? And I mean, I just have a sense of like this kind of wonder and possibility now.
Right. Oh, the way you describe that too, that's such what we have as kids. And that's what we are always meant to have when everybody else teaches us different. Not that anybody's fault, because that's what they were taught. But yeah, we can bring that back too.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, if there were other people to watch this and they would get all of this beautiful information, what advice would you give to someone that is, on the precipice of making changes in their life?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I would hazard a guess that there are many, many, many people out there that have at least one thing that has been really weighing them down, that just like, if I could get rid of this, or if I could just address this. It seems absolutely monumental when you're facing a big choice like that. Like, what if this goes wrong? What if that, if you finally just take that leap, like take that jump into faith and following your heart, you can always make another choice tomorrow. You can always do something the next day, but the fact that you do that big first step is not the end. That's just the beginning. And that is what is so exciting. And that's what eventually, as you keep going, just leads to this like life is wondrous. And what do I want to explore, next? It's just like, and it just takes that one big leap. After that, things will change.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful advice. It's almost like really committing to, really, it could be 100-day journey, 100-day project. It's that first step of committing to it and say, today I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
First step.
Okay. I'm one thing I'm thinking about related to this is, I've got early on in this process, my daughter was riding horses and I had always been scared of them. And she was so little, she needed help. So I was there always with the horses. And I just decided, okay, I'm going to start taking lessons riding horses. Well, I found so much joy in that. I became just obsessed just with riding horses. Like, and I couldn't get it. I mean, she and I were spending so much time together riding horses. And like, it seemed almost like extravagant and ridiculous, but just felt so good that even something like that, you don't have to do a giant, like turn your life upside down, but just start following that thing that just like gives you that spark of wonder,
and just joy. Yeah. I completely agree. That's an awesome example too. Just trying something, you realize, oh my gosh, I love riding horses. I love horses. And everybody tries to make a career out of something or something big. Oh, I've got to make this big life change, or I have to like figure out this. No, it's not. It's just little steps.
Yep, exactly.
Taking those steps.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so awesome. Jenny, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and your experience with me.
Oh, you're so welcome. This is a fun project. I'm excited for you. It'll be fun to hear what everybody else is saying in your interviews.
So much, Jenny. I hope you have a wonderful day. It was wonderful talking to you.
Yes, you're welcome. Have a great day too.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. There you have it, Gini Breidenbach. And her advice is just take that first step. It just takes one step towards something that lights you up. It only begins when you begin it. And I'm looking forward to our next adventure together as we explore cultural creatives.